I'm going to say good morning, but welcome. My name's Bobby Dimmick. I'm the lead product developer for the ad settings feature of the WordPress plugin at Ezoic. We released Monday around 10 o'clock. Since then, just to let you guys know, we've had over 460 people basically upgrade their site by enabling default placeholders, and we've seen a lot of great things come out of that. It's been a great customer week. We've had a lot of announcements, and we're hoping to keep the hits rolling. I hope you guys have all had a great time. I've been seeing some of the numbers come through, and it looks like we've got a lot of people doing really well with their websites and really just kind of hitting the turbo button on their revenue. So without further ado, let me see if I can kick this thing off. So actually, you know what? I am sharing the wrong thing. I'm going to share everything. Can I? Hold on just a sec. Sharing. No, okay, well, I'll share this for now. If I can get to the start. Okay, so we're introducing the WordPress plugin, new ad feature. This is a fantastic new addition to the WordPress plugin, which can already handle advanced caching and help speed up your site. Includes some new Leap features. But we've decided to take it a step further and go ahead and put more control in the hands of publishers to allow them to position their placeholders to maximize their overall revenue and EPMV. So a big question comes into play. Why did we build this thing? Well, as your primary source of revenue, getting placeholders configured correctly to maximize your income can be fairly difficult. We currently have a few options, such as using the Chrome extension to allow you to manually place your placeholders, as well as being able to hard code placeholders on your site. One other really cool feature is our automatic insert, or AI placeholders, which allows your mobile users to view ads, have ads optimized on their site based on your content. So if your content changes a little bit here and there, AI placeholders will react accordingly and adjust your ads to make sure that you're getting the revenue that you need for your website. Again, going back to placeholder configuration, it's difficult getting it right, knowing exactly where to place your placeholders, how to position them in such a way that you can maximize your engagement with your users can be very difficult. And then sometimes getting a new site set up can take anywhere from hours to even days. I've seen cases where it takes a week or more sometimes. Not everybody has the expertise required in order to get their placeholder configuration set up properly. And being able to better engage your audience is key to getting the readership and growth that you need for your business. So what we did is we built a tool that will allow you to immediately get started with generating revenue on your website, relying on years of experience with creating placeholders and allowing sites to better generate revenue. We built the best tool possible to allow you to just jump in, set up your WordPress site, push a button, and then within anywhere from 3 minutes to 20 minutes, start earning revenue with nothing more than signing up. It's a fantastic tool. In addition to doing all this, sometimes you run into conflicts with our tools and your website, or getting placeholders configured in such a way that they don't move around on your website. And having a tool that directly integrates with your website allows more control over this placement and helps avoid some of those odd behaviors you might see from day to day. And all things considered, the more tools you have to maximize your EPMV, the better placed you are to turn your lifestyle business into a lifetime business. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into our little demo. So let me jump over here. And I am going to try and find a way to share my whole desktop. Back, give me just a second because screen, there we go, fantastic. So F12. So you'll have to excuse my fantastic site here. I'm a software developer. I've been doing it for 26 years. So of course, my new blog here is centered around writing code. Ignore the text, it's just lorem ipsum, so it's just filler. So here's my new website. And I've already signed up with Ezoic. I've already applied for monetization, and I've been approved, and now I'm ready to go. Normally at this point, you would either contact an Ezoic rep or try your hand at placing your own placeholders throughout your website. And again, this can take quite a while. So what we've done is set up a new plugin. So I'm going to go over here to add our plugin. I'm just going to go ahead and type Ezoic. Install. And once it's installed, you go ahead and activate. Now, what happens when you activate the plugin is your website's going to reach out to our backend and ask to have new placeholders configured. If I'm a new customer, it's going to go ahead and configure more than 50 placeholders throughout your site. It's going to first add them to your account, which you can view in the publisher dashboard. And then it's going to configure them via the plugin. Now, it can behave a little differently depending on whether or not you're a new customer or existing customer. If you're an existing customer and you're already earning revenue on your site, you might not want this new configuration. If that's the case, then you have the option of installing them later, or you can keep your existing placeholder. It's totally up to you. So now that I've activated it, I'm going to jump over to settings, drop down to Ezoic. Now, another quick note here, placeholder creation can take anywhere from 3 minutes to 20 minutes. It just depends on the load on our system, network communication, all kinds of crazy tech stuff. So you'll have to be patient sometimes, but if that's the case, you'll see a nice little bar across the top here saying that placeholders are being generated. We try to cover our most common questions right here. And then we're going to jump down to let's go. Now, I've already generated my placeholders, so here they are. You can tell the placeholders that are generated by this tool based on the little WP prefix here. You can see I have a whole host of placeholders here. The placements, which I'll get to in just a second, were derived based on years of experience by our PSM team members. They've been doing placeholder configurations for as long as we've been doing this, and they know what placeholder configurations work 90% of the time, give or take. So I sat down together with them, worked out the best way to place these placeholders, and threw this together, basically. So now that they're placed here, I'm going to jump back over to my site. Note, I haven't done anything here other than activate my plugin. So I'm going to jump into my little article here. And right now, I don't have ads turned on because I work with this every day, and I'd hate to falsely generate revenue, but I've got a little sneaky trick here that goes ahead and shows the placeholders. And as you can see, I already have sidebar placeholders. These two placeholders that are sitting down here are actually, one's a sticky placeholder that floats with scroll, and the other placeholder is just kind of bottom of sidebar. If you don't have a sidebar, don't worry about it. These guys won't be included. Otherwise, if we take a look here, you see under page title is after paragraph 1. Here's the first paragraph. There's a placeholder, placeholder 601, placeholder 601. And this will cover all the way through hundreds of paragraphs. So if you happen to be a fairly prolific writer and have a fairly long blog, you're taken care of. The placeholders tend to be slightly more dense near the top. That's where your initial engagement occurs, so it makes plenty of sense. But after that, they kind of spread out a bit. So now I have my placeholders in place and I'm done. I'm making money. That having been said, you may find that you want to move the placeholders around. You may want to turn off certain placeholders. You may want to add additional placeholders. That's all perfectly fine. I want to walk you through real quick how that configuration happens, what some of these options actually mean, and how they affect the placement of placeholders on your website. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this underpage title one real quick, and I'm presented with this handy dandy dialog. And if you can see, I've got multiple options here for display. And just to go over this real quick, I've got disabled. So if I choose disabled here, these nice red squares won't show anymore. So these placeholders won't be available for ad positioning anymore. It doesn't mean that the placeholder is gone forever. It just means that it's not going to be available on the site until you re-enable it. We have before content and after content. Those will appear near the top of the content, say, for example, here above the image, or down here, down below at the bottom of the actual content, not counting the comments. And then we've got slightly more useful before and after paragraph. So if you consider each paragraph a block, right, that represents engagement on your website, you'll want to place your ads, you'll want to pepper your ads throughout your website in such a way that as people are reading, there is an opportunity for engagement. So as you can see, we've got these all set up throughout here, and we've got my placeholder here. It's set up to be before paragraph 1, as you can see there, but I can also set up for after paragraph. I can set it for before paragraph, change this to 1, update that, refresh here, and now it appears before the first paragraph. So given that, using before and after paragraph, you have the ultimate flexibility to place these placeholders anywhere you'd like to on your site. Keep in mind, however, these placeholders are just suggestions for our backend, which is going to optimize ad placement and sizing based on these suggestions. So for example, if for some reason you had 2 placeholders that were back to back, that's kind of a bad idea. Nobody wants a website that's full of ads and makes it really difficult to get to the content that your readers are really looking for. So our backend will actually optimize those situations and only display one ad or the other. And so one ad wins out, meaning it's earning more revenue than the other ads, and then it will probably be used full time. So now that we've got before and after paragraph, let's look through this. We've got after widget. Widgets, I'm probably going to end up changing the phrasing of this, but basically a sidebar in WordPress is just a widget container. So each of these guys, this recent post, recent comments, and the search are all widgets. So as you can see with some of our placeholders, there we've got this placeholder after widget 1, so it appears as the second widget. This one's after widget 0, which ensures it shows up at the beginning. And these really big numbers ensure that no matter how many widgets you have, the widgets will appear at the bottom. So that allows you to add placeholders on the sidebar. And again, this last placeholder is always going to be a floating placeholder. So it's going to go ahead and follow the scroll, which is always super handy. Now comes the super fun stuff, before and after HTML element. This is your Swiss Army knife. This allows you to place your ads wherever you'd like to. So for example, let's take a look at this placeholder again. It says under page title, it's placeholder 601. If I go here though, that's not under the page title. We need to move this someplace that I feel is a bit more engaging, meaning I know my users are going to come in, scan this fantastic title, and I want to make sure that I can get an impression right then. So I'm going to go ahead and select this guy. I'm going to go ahead and select before HTML element. This handy dandy select button now appears. If I click on that, I'm presented with this nice little element picker. So as you can see, I'm highlighting different elements of the article as I move the mouse throughout the page. And of course, I could select these paragraphs, but like I said, I want it to appear right here near my title. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. It gives me this, which if you know HTML, this is the path to this element on the page. So I'm going to go ahead and select use this element. And as you can see, this is very similar to the Chrome extension. I think one of the benefits of this maybe over the Chrome extension is it knows your page a bit better. Either way, though, you can go with either option. I'm going to go ahead and click update here. And then if I go to my website, refresh the page, hit this, now you notice my ad's near the top. And that's a fantastic way to position placeholders if you realize, hey, I don't really want to use paragraphs. I might want to use an image or a block quote represents a specific location for an ad, because that's how I laid my site out. So all of those are super handy. As you can see, we're making changes to the post. That's where the majority of your content will be, but we also support adding placeholders to the homepage and to pages. These pages would be your about page, your privacy policy, where you probably don't want ads, pages where you have specific information about you or a topic that you want to cover. We currently don't have defaults for this. We're working on it. The tricky bit with page and homepage is no two homepages are the same, which makes it very difficult to come up with a set of default configurations that will optimize ads in that specific case. And it's the same with a page. A page is pretty free form. A page doesn't necessarily consist of paragraphs. A page could be a picture gallery or a shopping cart. And in those cases, knowing where to automatically place the ads gets a little difficult. But for the majority of the time, this post should cover you. So now we've got ads, we're making money, things are good. But let's say we want to get a little bit more advanced. We've got this fancy icon, this fancy gear icon here. And you notice here we have paragraph tags and excerpt tags. Just to let you know the difference here. Paragraphs, obviously paragraphs on your article. But in some WordPress installations, you don't necessarily show the full article on the homepage. What you have are these little guys, which are called excerpts. And you don't necessarily, an excerpt may consist of multiple paragraphs, and you might not want your ads to show up in the middle of your excerpt. For example, an ad right here, right above the categories, would be really kind of goofy. It would shift the layout a bit. But you might want one down here below the excerpt. In that case, you'd use an excerpt. And just to show you where that would be real quick, you'll see right here after excerpt, I can type one here. Ooh, one, my keyboard works. And then in theory, I have not tested this. Well, actually put it in the excerpt. Okay, I'm sorry. It did consider this the excerpt. So this is what it's going to use. If you wanted to actually place it below this, you'd have to use the HTML picker. Either way, it works pretty well. But as you can see, this homepage and this theme make it a little goofy to know exactly the best way to set defaults on this. So we'll kind of leave that up to you guys for now. Going back here real quick, we've got these two magic buttons. So let's say you're an advanced user and you want to do all your own placements using this tool, and you don't want to take any of the defaults that we have in here. Absolutely free to do that. You come in here, you hit the clear default configuration. And what this goes through is it sets all of the configurations to disabled now. And now you can go through and configure these things any way, any way that you'd like. And this gives you the ultimate control to do your own placements because you know your readers and you know the type of engagement you want to get with your content. Flipping back over here, we have reset configuration. So what this does is this throws everything out. So you decide, I've made a lot of changes and tweaks to my blog and placements. I want to get back to the defaults. I want to start over completely at square one. This goes through and puts all the defaults back. So as you can see, even after playing with it for a while, if you want to, you can put the defaults back and then clear them. You're right back where you started using, like I said, our tried and true Ezoic recommended settings. So let's see it. So all that having been said, this plugin is it's still an early release. As you can see, it's a baby. It's getting its legs out, getting its legs under it. I think it covers a lot of the major cases when we initially onboard people. We wanted to make sure that our users were able to get in the saddle and start actually monetizing their site as quickly as possible. And this allows you to do it. I will go ahead and note two edge cases here. In one case, you might run into a situation where you already have placeholders, like I mentioned previously, and you don't necessarily want to use our placeholders. The plugin won't generate new placeholders, but it does give you the option to if you actually want them. If you're existing customers and you've already configured your placeholders, but you want to take advantage of some of these placements, you're welcome to do that. We don't recommend disabling or turning off any of your placeholders though, because our platform on the back end is optimizing placeholder positioning and size constantly. As you may have noted when you first started, revenue grows. It doesn't immediately jump up because that's our platform learning. If you remove all those existing placeholders, you're basically erasing the memory of the platform and you're starting from square one. So now your revenue has to grow again. So even with these placeholders in place, there's no guarantee your revenue will immediately jump up. But these new placeholders can live happily side by side with the existing placeholders. And our platform will test each position to determine which position receives the highest engagement, and the winning placeholder will be the one that's used most often. So that'll work out really well. So where are we going from here? As you can see, we've got a default placement, which is fantastic. We've got the ability to place placeholders and tweak the configuration as needed. And we have a few advanced features, but what about the more complex situations? What if you want to filter placeholders based on the number of words in a paragraph? No one wants to count a paragraph that has 20 words. But maybe you want to say, hey, I want to position below the third paragraph, but only count paragraphs that have over 150 words, meaningful, contentful paragraphs. We're going to go ahead and we'll be adding that feature fairly soon. Let's say you edit your own HTML. You're a wizard, you got it made, but you make a typo. Finding paragraphs can be very difficult for the tool if the structure of the website isn't particularly clean. We're working on a feature that'll clean up that presentation and actually be able to make it easier to find those paragraphs. Some more complex themes, such as Elementor or Thrive Architect, they are way more complex in how they handle content. For example, every paragraph isn't a paragraph, but a block of content and treated just like an image or a block quote. So being able to identify what a paragraph is can be very difficult. We plan on adding first-class support for Elementor and Add Thrive and interacting directly with those plugins in order to best place placeholders. That way, if Elementor decides to rearrange your page, the placeholders should follow. We want to give more control over the placement of individual placeholders. So you may want one placeholder or one group of placeholders placed after images, but another group of placeholders placed after paragraphs. You'll be able to configure that individually, and it'll make life a lot easier. And then in addition to that, we've got a whole host of features that we actually have planned, and we'll be pushing out releases constantly. So please keep an eye out there, turn on auto updates. If you run into any bugs or have any questions or problems, please contact your Ezoic rep, and they have a direct line to me and my team, and we'll get on it as fast as we can. One more thing I wanted to share before I try to answer just a couple questions. The placeholder, this was released on Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific. I went ahead and pulled some of the EPMV graphs for some of the users who've used this feature. And I'll go ahead and say there's been over 460 people that have taken advantage of this placeholder configuration tool. And as you can see, a lot of them seem to have benefited quite a bit in just 24 hours. So, we've seen anywhere from 2x to 10x growth. So this works. If you're seeing problems with revenue, chances are it has to do with your placement of your placeholders and your configuration and your engagement. This will absolutely help you. So I'm going to jump over to the little Q&A real quick and see what we have here. Wow, a full speech prepared. Hey, thanks. I took public speaking 30 years ago, so you learn. Can the plugin handle custom post types? As I mentioned, it handles the 3 page types. As far as custom post types, my only guess there would be that you are using different layouts. In that case, not currently, but one of the features we have slated for the future is being able to, in the individual placeholder configuration, ignore specific pages and possibly include a specific location. So that's definitely on the drawing board, so you're good there. Will the plugin add placements still function correctly if the Ezoic public is subsequently disabled while remaining with? It will place the placeholders. However, because you're not working with Ezoic, it will not actually place ads. As I mentioned earlier, ad placement is actually done by our backend. The placeholders only pass a hint to the backend saying this is where I would like our ads to be located. Let's see, after applying the default placeholders and their complete setup under the home tab, instead of the plugin settings, it lists placeholders as disabled. On inner posts, they were valid. How come? As I explained a little bit earlier, and that's a great question. We have a default configuration for posts because all posts tend to follow the same formula of text, image, whereas a home page can be fairly free form. So having a default configuration can make that fairly difficult. And that brings up a great point too. If these placeholders can be managed in the back end, in the publisher dashboard, as well as via the Chrome extension. So if you're not happy with the default sizing or availability per form factor, tablet versus mobile versus desktop, you can go ahead and edit that in the publisher dashboard, as well as disable them in the publisher dashboard. So if they're disabled in the publisher dashboard, even though the placeholder is there, when our backend is trying to place ads, it will not place an ad there. How can I enable video ads in my website? Talk to your Ezoic Ezoic rep, that is a different group, but we're doing some very cool stuff in that space. If we enable the plugin to place ads on an existing site that is earning revenue, is there a way to roll it back if it performs worse? It's funny, that gets to a discussion I actually had yesterday with my team. You can, as I mentioned earlier, you can disable these ads in the backend or actually disable them in the plugin. We don't currently have a way to A/B test it, but that's something I've been thinking about. So that might be something that's on the drawing board. Like I said, we're still kind of discussing that. It depends on the need. Are WordPress category pages considered to be posts or pages when configuring ads? That's another future feature that is coming up really soon. Category pages are considered list pages in WordPress. So we're hoping to provide the ability to automatically place placeholders on list pages, and we'll probably have a default configuration for that. I like the never mind, you answered my question. Went over existing placeholders. If AI has been working for months, you don't have to use the plugin. Nothing gets overwritten. And I'm actually going to wrap it up there because we've only got 1 minute left. And I see there's a couple marketing questions. So absolutely, with these questions, get back to your Ezoic rep or ask somebody in our marketing channel. They would be super happy to answer your questions. Everybody here is super friendly and they do their best to get back to people as soon as possible. So I want to go ahead and say thank you guys for your time. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come here and talk with us. And if you have any further questions, like I mentioned, go ahead and ask your Ezoic rep. And, I'm out here too. So you guys have a great day. This has been Bobby. Thank you very much for working with Ezoic.